This is Canada Reads American Style, featuring two friends who love Canada Reads and Canadian literature. Welcome our host Rebecca from Michigan and Tara from Ontario.
Hello and welcome to Canada Reads American Style. I'm Tara, and this afternoon we have a special guest with us. We have local mystery writer Sydney Leigh joining us. Sydney spent several years running a seasonal business that allowed her to spend the cold months in cool places. She now spends her work time thinking about murder and writing cozy mysteries. She is a member of Sisters in Crime, International Thriller Writers, and served on the board of Crime Writers of Canada from 2018 to 2021. Her latest book, Instagoner, published August 27th, 2024 by Level Best Books, is the first book in the Bark and Blog mystery series. When lifestyle blogger Emily finds the body of the local controversial talk show host, who also happens to be her arch-nemesis, she enlists the help of her online audience, her best friend and barista Fitz, and furry four-footed roommate Murray to help solve the crime. Welcome, Sydney.
Thank you so much, Tara. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here because I love cozy mysteries. I love jumping into like a series. I really like a series and following it along. So I'm super excited to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Okay, let's jump in. I gave a little synopsis of the book. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book and the writing process total. In a cozy mystery, a strong sense of place, a place where we all want to visit or even live, is important. How do you develop that sense of place? And what was the inspiration for Elliot Hill, where Instagoner takes place?
Okay, so I love that question because I think that the sense of place in a cozy mystery is such an important part of it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a small town, although in this book it is, but it definitely has to have a tight-knit community where people know each other and are comfortable and trusting of each other. So the real life inspiration for this was Ellicottville, which is a Western New York ski town that I used to go to all the time when I was in university to go snowboarding. And it's just such a quaint, cozy town that is perfect for a cozy mystery. But, I did want to have a few changes. So I decided to just, as you said, like keep it as the inspiration, but not make it actually take place in Ellicottville itself.
Yeah, I liked you had like a vibe exactly like that, but you also had like this celebrity vibe to it
Right.
because our murder victim is a talk show host, but then you
Yeah.
also had it as like a filming location, which I thought was really kind of cool.
Well, I thought that was fun, and that was kind of maybe thinking a little bit ahead as well. I love I love reality TV, and I like reading my TMZ and see what's going on with all the celebrities. So I kind of love the fun elements of the celebrity culture, and I think that here in around Oakville and around Toronto, it's such a great filming place
Mhm.
for film, and you see all around. If you're driving around, you see film sets, and I just love the sense that those little sets in themselves are their own little world. And I thought it would be fun to kind of have that element integrated with the story.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have a lot of in the story, but I think it'll play out a little bit more. And I just like the idea of, I feel like it gives readers an idea of like how cute the place is. Like I love Gilmore Girls. So, you think of Stars Hollow and you think of, yeah, all these like cute little towns. And I think, yes, yes, yes. So I
Yeah.
had to have that in there.
I know. I love that part of it. And it's you even had it again, not a big plot point in this story, but just people coming in to the local coffee shop and having the barista describe his interactions with a celebrity who was in there to a group of teenagers. I love that little moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think small towns are like that. Like, when you live, so I live in Bronte, which is kind of like its own little world within Oakville, which is a suburb of Toronto. And you really do kind of get to know everybody in the neighborhood. You see the regulars, and And then that includes the teenagers, the older people, the dogs, everybody is kind of part of it. And that trust is really just such a key element when you're writing a cozy, because people are willing to share, maybe things with people they trust that they wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah. So Emily, our cozy sleuth, let's call her a cozy sleuth, has an online presence as a blogger and a lifestyle influencer. Why did you want to explore this area of contemporary life? And what kind of research did you have to do? I would have to do so much research. It's beyond my scope, that world.
Well, and it was funny. I kind of thought, should she be a vlogger or a blogger? And the whole reason that it started out that way was I love going to conferences. So I love seeing people, because I as much as I love writing and going to coffee shops or sitting in the library, I love interacting with people when I'm not writing, readers, authors, people in general. I just like to be out and about. And I went to a conference in New York called Thriller Fest. And at the time I was trying to find an agent, and I talked to a few, and one of them said to me, you kind of have this young vibe about you, this youngish energy. And not that I'm, considered myself all that young, but she said the energy kind of gives me that feeling. She said, have you thought about leaning into that a little bit? And that was just like, oh, I love that idea, because I love my reality TV,
Mhm.
and I love going online, seeing what is happening with, whether it's the fashion or the celebrities, or it's just something that I enjoy doing when I'm not, you know, when I'm not working or whatever. So I started delving into that a little bit more. Like, who are the influencers right now? What do they talk about? Like, how do you fill a blog every day with new content, and that readers find, or readers, listeners, whatever, find interesting? So I did kind of look into that a lot and see what are people talking about and what keeps people's interest.
Yeah. Because I found it interesting that there would be little snippets of what Emily shared with her
Hmm.
followers. And she shared like a lot of genuine moments of how she was feeling just at any point of the day.
Yeah, I think that's an important part. Like, one of the things that really resonated with me and made sense was that I think successful influencers are honest, and they really are like sharing, being vulnerable. And that vulnerability is what draws people to them. So I really wanted to have that be a part of who Emily is. It's a little bit of a struggle when she's, going through the case in that. But yeah, I thought it was important, because if it's manufactured content, I don't find it, I don't think it's that interesting. And I don't think it would keep people coming back.
So now I am going to this reminds me of another part of the story. So another relationship that you have in there with Emily and her mother. So Emily she is in social media. It's very like contemporary. It's set in today's time, but she's about to embark on a journey with her mother career wise. That is
Right.
very like, I would say like 1970, like, like it's like a step back. I'm putting
Yeah.
that in quotation marks because I loved it. Cause I'm like, it reminded me of like what I would have watched on TV as a childhood. Do you want to tell us about that a little bit?
Well, actually, I have a real life inspiration for that as well, because there's one of the influencers that I really like is a woman named Jennifer Valentine, and she used to be on City TV in Toronto. She's really bubbly, and she used to be like, City TV used to have, like, we really got to know their personalities, the people that worked there, and she was one of them that I always found entertaining, because she was fun. She was, as I said, bubbly. And I think she may have started out, and I could be wrong, but I think she may have started out as a weather girl. So I thought that would be really fun. And I know she does a lot of social media stuff with her daughter, who I believe might be a singer, but they do a lot of shared content with recipes, with little dances. And I find it quite charming.
Yeah.
And I thought that something that would work well with Emily and her mom, because they don't always see eye to eye, is movies. because, when people aren't getting along, you could always go sit somewhere and be together, but you don't always have to talk. And I thought that might be something. And 1990s movies in particular are so great, and I thought it would be something that they could certainly agree on.
Yeah. It's something I would watch. When they were discussing it and then they were setting it all up, I'm like, oh my God, I wish that was a real show. I would totally watch that with them.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Okay, so Emily and the murder victim, Jackie, have a tumultuous past, as do many other inhabitants of Elliott Hill. Let's discuss small town secrets, their danger, and how you use that to propel your story.
Yeah, well, I think small town secrets are really like that's what it's all about. That's the gem. And I think everybody has secrets, and I think Vicky Delaney, another cozy author that I really love and respect, I think she said something once that made a lot of sense to me. She said, "Everybody has secrets. You just have to figure out which secret is the one that that was big enough to end up in murder." So, you know, everybody, like everybody in real life and fictional characters, there's always something that you may not want to share with everybody all the time. But as we were talking about, like with small towns and secrets, I think, when you live in a big city, you kind of have an anonymity if you want. But when you're in a small town, as much as it's great because it's cozy and everybody knows each other, you also, I think it's hard to hide sometimes parts or things that you might not always want to share. And I think that's where secrets come in.
Yeah.
So maybe one person knows, or, your mom, your best friend, your cousin, whatever it is. But I think that there tends to be, at least in my cozy writing mind, there tends to be more secrets in small towns because they don't have the option of having the anonymity. Everybody knows who they are all the time. So that's really, I think it's such an important element with this small town or small community setting.
Yeah. And without any spoilers, because I don't want to. I love finding out Sydney's story, or not Sydney. Sorry, see, I have the two of you put together in my mind.
I can tell you about that too.
I love finding Emily's story as we go through it, like finding out her backstory. But Jackie is one who she is not afraid to share the secrets of the town.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think she loves the juicy secrets. And at first I thought of her really as kind of a villain, but I feel like as I got to know her, I think she's more of like a black and white thinker. It's either right or wrong. There's no hiding who you are. Be who you are, own who you are, and if you won't do it, I'll do it for you. And it doesn't lend itself, often to a lot of kindness and stuff, but I don't think she does it out of like a sense of cruelty or because she sees herself as superior. I think it's how she lives and how she thinks everybody else should live too. And I guess it's a self-righteousness and that sort of thing, but she's built her career on it. So she's not gonna, she doesn't let anybody kind of get away from revealing who they really are.
Yeah. Emily has a wonderful cast of characters around her. Like we mentioned her mom, but she also has her best friend, Fitz. So I love the relationship between the two of them. Do you want to discuss how you build your cast of secondary characters?
Sure. Well, as a writer, you spend a lot of time with these people. So I really want to have people that I like to spend time with. And Fitz in particular, I just love him.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Fitz, named after Fitzwilliam, who's Mr. Darcy, I guess, my all-time favorite male character from Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. But instead of the love interest, I wanted him to be the supportive best friend. So that's my little twist on him. But so I thought Fitz was kind of a modern take on the Mr. Darcy, and although he doesn't have a lot of characteristics like Mr. Darcy, ultimately he's just a really good person and helps Emily, guide her a little bit, maybe warn her, that might not be a great idea. But ultimately, he's always there for her, 100%, her ride or die kind of person.
Yeah.
So that's him. No matter what she does, he'll always support her. And I think, everybody has to have that in life and in fiction. And her mom is just, I think she kind of makes me laugh. So she also isn't shy about, discussing things. Sometimes she says inappropriate things about her and Emily's dad's, their personal life, which I just did that because it makes me giggle. Because kids never want to hear or see their parents kissing, and so it's just that I just thought was kind of funny. And I'm trying to think who else there is.
Well, I was going to say, if we're speaking of Darcy, I do get Darcy vibes from Fitz's brother.
Oh, yes,
Sheriff,
yes.
right? Sheriff? Yeah, I love
Yes,
him.
and he is more like Noah. Yeah, he
Yeah.
is definitely more like the traditional Mr. Darcy, which is actually, I hadn't thought about that. So thank you. That's really fun. I love Noah because
Yeah.
he's a little more stoic, a little more reserved than his brother. And creating his character compared to Fitz, I did a lot of back and forth because I didn't want them to be polar opposites, but I wanted to make sure it felt like a real brother relationship, a real sibling relationship. And I just think he's such a hottie. So, I liked having him there all the time because he's fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to seeing where his and Emily's relationship goes in the future. So,
Yeah,
speaking of
yeah.
that, like, what do you have planned for the series? Can you tell us a little?
Yeah, so well, I signed a 3-book contract, so
Oh,
there's going to
wow,
be at least 3 books. So I'm really
awesome.
excited about that. I'm trying to think where. Oh, I know what happens. Well, the second one is going to be more of a Halloween theme.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so that's going to be definitely more small town secrets.
Yeah.
Halloween vibe takes place. It starts out on Devil's Night, which I don't know if everybody calls it that. Some people call it Mischief Night or something, but the night before Halloween, I think it will kick off. So I think it's going to be a fun opening.
Fun. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Excellent.
Thank you, thank you.
And we always like to ask, what are you currently reading? Have you just read favorite authors?
Oh gosh, I have so many favorite authors, but
Okay.
I knew you were going to ask this question.
Yep.
So I usually have a book on Kindle, a book on audio, and a paperback or hardcover
Yep.
because I read or devour most of my books through audio because I've got a big dog and I go on a lot of walks,
Mm-hmm.
and whenever I'm prepping dinner, going on a walk, driving the kids, whatever. So I go through probably at least a book a week that way, which
Wow.
for me is a lot. I know, as bookstagrammers, they can read a book a day and
Oh,
all that sort of thing, but I'm not quite that much of a speed reader. So, and right now I'm reading a book called The True Love, or listening to a book called The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren, and it's a modern romance. It's really fun. I'm
yeah.
probably about a third of the way through it, so I'm enjoying that. That's
Okay.
really good.
I feel like I've read something by that author too, but I can't remember.
There's the Unhoneymooners, I think, which
No.
there's a few of them. She's really
Yeah.
funny. She kind
Yeah.
of is I love Emily Henry. I love modern romance because to me they do the best dialogue
Hmm. Hmm.
and they make me laugh. Like I just
Yeah.
love the relationships in them. So it keeps me coming back time and time again. And I'm also reading a book called Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies by
Yes.
Catherine Mack.
Yep. Are you enjoying that
Fantastic.
one? Yeah.
Yes, very much, very much. I love it, and I love that it is quite cozy, but it's just a little bit. It has a few elements that aren't quite cozy, and I kind of like that. I kind of think that's fun.
Yeah.
So, really enjoying that. And then I'm also reading a book called Murder Road by Simone St. James. And whoa,
Okay.
that is a thriller. I don't know if you've read it.
No, I picked it up from the library this morning, actually.
Did? Oh my God. If you read the first chapter, that's it. You're going
Okay.
to be like canceling everything and reading it because
Awesome.
I'm like, oh my God. So I've only read that, and I think I read it yesterday, and oh, so now I'm like, okay, I have to find an hour somewhere and just like get right
Yeah.
into it because it's really good.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. And I was going to say, before we say goodbye too, I also want to let our listeners know that your previous book, Peril in Pink, I also read, I think it was last year it came out, and it's a cozy mystery, not a series though, I don't think, right? It's a standalone at the moment anyways?
It's a standalone. It came out in March, so it wasn't actually that long ago, but yeah, it came out in March. And like, that's also, I guess, fairly modern, but it's about a bed and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Although the funny thing with that one is that it was inspired by, do you know the June Motel in Prince Edward County?
I think so.
So it's a really modern motel whose target audience is women, like bachelorettes, girls' weekends, all that sort of thing. And they kind of solidified that by having pink doors on their motel. And they did a Netflix series called Motel Makeover.
Oh.
And during the pandemic, I was absolutely glued to it. And I thought that's going to be the setting for my next cozy mystery. And it was, but Crooked Lane wanted me to change it from a motel to a bed and breakfast. So I did.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed that one. I was going to say that also had a great sense of place, because who wouldn't want to go stay in that bed and breakfast? And it gave me vibes of, for our listeners, Gilmore Girls and Jessica Fletcher. Like it was like the perfect little blend of the two. It was a really fun cozy.
Thank you.
As well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I am so flattered, Jessica Fletcher, because, like when kids are like, who's your hero? And it's like Spider-Man or Batman. And I'm like, Jessica Fletcher, Jessica Fletcher. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, now you're living the Jessica Fletcher writerly life.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sydney. And I look forward to reading more, like following the rest of the series. I can't wait.
Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy reading, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on our bookish journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing Canada Reads American Style wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads American Style, and with Tara at On a Branch Reads. Until next time, keep reading.